Good morning everyone, and welcome to the Magic Software webinar Dynamic Data Quality. I'm Tom Hutchins. I'm joined today by my colleague Joe Da Silva. So just a bit of housekeeping to start off with. I'm going to give you a quick introduction to data quality and why it's important. Joe is then going to explain how easy and important it is to be able to very quickly integrate this into your business workflows as we can do with Magic. We are going to try to keep this to be a very quick webinar. It's not the deepest dive ever. We expect that you will have some unanswered questions at the end, and we'll have a Q&A session, and also you're always very welcome to contact us with any more information that you need. We can offer you everything from more further reading on the subject to full workshop sessions. So, first question of what is data quality in terms of what we mean. We're really saying that it's a form of data deduplication, validation and cleansing put in as a step in a business process workflow rather than as a separate application. So you don't need to build a data warehouse, you've just got your business processes, and as the information flows through them, it's automatically checked so that correct information arrives with your end user. Data quality is important.
Tom,
yes?
We can see your screen. I think you're not sharing.
Let's have a look.
Thank you.
How about now? Is that working?
Yes.
Okay, right. In that case, let's go back to the beginning very quickly. Data deduplication, validation and cleansing. So it's not a separate application, it's a step in an integrated business process workflow, and you don't need to build a separate application or a data warehouse to use it. It's important because of the scale of the problem that just on a pure self-assessment, 25% of companies think they have some data problems. I suspect that most, in fact, of those are saying that they have quite a significant data problem, because when I show the kind of issue that you can have in a minute, a lot of what people think is normal, we actually can improve on quite significantly. Common data issues are everything from sending out maybe physical mailers to people who no longer live at the address. The new residents see this and think, well, this company doesn't know anything about us. And even without having a real engagement with those people, you've already lost some of their attention. And also we believe that up to 12% of revenue could actually be wasted due to these issues, from the lost opportunities and also the extra time it takes your staff to handle them. Part of the challenge, it's not that companies can't collect data or that database management isn't very good. The problem is that data is constantly changing. We believe that it erodes to a rate of about 40% a year, and that really corresponds to a change of about 1 a day per 1,000 records, which means that if you've got a database of 15,000 records, which is fairly small for most companies, that becomes quite a significant challenge by the end of the year. And if you have any mergers or acquisitions, your overlapping records and databases mean that you could have different information about the same customer in two different places, which means that when data is trying to be switched, you don't know which one is the actual correct master record. So there's two ways really of handling that. You either build a separate data warehouse to act as a master record and have it manually checked, or you can use this kind of smart integrated quick tool that's going to just automatically check the different databases and ensure everything's up to date. The problem with most solutions that you get at the moment is the use of an extended string system. So the extended string is where you take certain characteristics of the lead record and say that if the other ones match this, then it must be the same person. So we've got a few examples here, and the question is, we have now 4 people. Are they the same? Looking at this, you'd think maybe 1 or 2 might be. They might all be. But how does the extended string system work? So taking 4 common extended string systems, you find that actually none of them will come up with a single match. So, having shown you that, I'd like to hand over to Joe, who's going to show you exactly how we can make this all better. So, just make Joe the presenter. Okay, Joe, go ahead please.
Thank you. Let me just share my screen. Thank you everyone for this morning. So I've been asked to keep this very quick and short. So let me just try to show you a few things in about 10 minutes. What you're looking at the moment on my screen, it's the whole process that I'm going to show you quickly. So if you think of this picture as it says on the title, this is Magic XPI, which is our tool where you can interconnect systems, services, and applications together. This process, as it is defined now, could be getting data from any system that you might have. It shows there some examples with CRM and ERP. And this data is now being brought into a connector. Magic XPI is or make uses of multiple connectors, which allows you not only read that data, as you can see from any of those applications, but from any service or data source that you might have. That processing is then taken place, and then you need to do some use of that result. So you see there are a few examples of the usage. And in this case, you can see that once the processing of analyzing the data and finding all the duplicates could be presented to the users either for manual interaction, which normally is what you don't want to do, but I'll show you an example of that. At least for the majority of the matches, you might want to take an automatic action, which is shown at the bottom of the screen. You could go back to one of the same applications that you have on the entry point and then take some action like deleting duplicates or merging the duplicates where the system allows that. But you can also present the results on a mobile device if the user needs to take some action and interaction, or on a report, or integrate with some sort of portal like SharePoint. Could be the equivalent of having a web page. I'll show you a quick example of that as well. So to summarize, I'm going to read data from a system, I'm going to do some processing, and I'm going to take some action as a result. So I'm just going to kickstart my process here by showing this. What I have here is one of those applications. You can see that this is my Salesforce account, which tends to be a common use system out there. And as you can see now, I have a few duplicates. There are multiple details on those duplicates, but I won't have time to go into the details. What I want to show you is that if I start this process that currently is not running, but I'm just kick-starting, this is the Magic XPI that will now run. So Magic XPI is defined by specific flows, and on those flows you define which step should take. In this case, is getting data from Salesforce, doing some magic and match it there. And this is using that matched connector. We have, as I said, a list of other connectors that then you can use to program the action you want to do. And this programming part is done like this. What you see there is the definition, is the action that should take, and it's all very high level. There's no really any code involved. It's mainly configuring any connector, which action that should be taken. And this goes back to the summary of what is happening between those applications. This This now is running in the background and is reading data from Salesforce and also bringing the rules that was applied that are defined on those processes to be applied. As Tom already summarized for you, you can have a series of details that you fine-tune when you want to define what the application should do, what you should consider in terms of the details that you want to consider. Let me show you this example here. So when you looking at your data, this is just a small sample. There's actually a vast list of options, but you decide which data should be considered, what is the scoring that you want to give for each of those duplicates that you may found, and that will define what the algorithm will apply to then be sure, in the example that Tom showed you on the slide, how sure it should be by finding a specific duplicate. So just to give you one example here, so when you select a location, that will be matched or disregard if the address location is different. And then you have an example there. So there's a lot of tweaking details. Once the process finished, you could present, as I said, a report to the user, and that will show you the matching scores. In this example here, because the matching score is quite high, I probably don't want to ask anything to the users. I just want to take some action. But you could define what is the level that you want user interaction and present them with a report like that. Let me just see if my process finished. And if my process finished, I can go back to my Salesforce and look for MKL. I don't think it's finished yet. Ah, there you are. Now, when I look back into my Salesforce, all those records that were duplicate were now merged into this one that I can see, because that was the action I set on Magic XPI to be taken. So in summary, that's what I wanted to show you very quickly, is that you can read data from any system or service. You define the rules of the matching and the fine-tuning of the rules that should apply by finding those duplicates. And you also define multiple actions that you want to do. And these are two main groups. One is the low matching you might want or make it available to the end users interact. And the high level of matching and confidence, you might automate the process back into your system. Tom, that's what was planned for my time. I could go into more details, but it's up to you now. I'll pass back. If you have any questions, please type your questions on the question box, and we can interact now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Joe. So, got time for a Q&A session. If there's anything specific that you'd like to ask about, or if you'd like to see Joe's more in-detail demo, if you have the time to do that, we've certainly got the time for you. Yeah, feel free. Okay, so I've got a question, which is approximately what level of duplicate fixing can be automated by this, as opposed to what needs user involvement? So I guess what percentage of an approximate problems in the database? Joe, what do you think?
Sorry, I was talking to myself. Let me just show in this quick slide here, which is gives you an idea of what kind of matching, and a few examples. Maybe it's worthwhile sending that. And there are so many details. Obviously, you have that coming as a default, but you can tweak, as I was showing you on that screen, that you then can allow your end users to define those settings. Specifically for the scoring, you could say, well, if the main name is matching exactly, so that's define that if they match exactly, I want to give it a 60 score, because that's very likely to be a definite duplicate. But if it's more or less matching, and that comes to these fuzzy logic and details here, then I want to give it a score of 40%. So for each of those numbers, then that's accumulated as the algorithm compare each of one of those fields, and it comes to this total matching score that now you can decide, depending on the volume, what action should be taken.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Just to clarify on one point there as well, from what I understand, the fuzzy matching, being that it matches common misspellings of words, is one of the real differentiators of this capability compared to a lot of the other things on the market. Would you say that's correct, Joe? Sorry, Joe, you might be talking to mute again.
Tom, you're breaking a bit. Can you repeat the question, please?
Oh, sorry. So the fuzzy matching, being the capability to match common misspellings of names, from what I understand, that's one of the real differentiators of this capability. Would you say that's correct?
Yes, if you look at this list, there are so many details like gender and other combinations. So the misspelling is one of them, or even different spelling for different countries, for example, or different languages. Let me just get you an example here. Yeah, so I think I have an example. Yeah, on the last case on this slide, you can see that some different spelling of words depending on language. These are all can be considered on the matching process.
Okay, thanks, Joe. I've got another question, which is how do you deal with two people who have the same initial, gender and surname who live at the same address? So, for instance, father and son.
Yes, they will receive, depending on the score that you selected. If you selected to consider gender, they will have a score, and then they will have another score because of the address. But then you could have other differentiators depending on the fields. That's a large list of fields, and this, if assuming that they will live in the same address, same gender, same name, they are very likely to come up as a high score, and you then will have all the differentiators depending on, let's say, department or area they work, and that will lower down the scoring. And this is where I'm saying that it's interesting that you can automate the higher score or a definite conclusion, but for the lower score, you want to get back to the users and say these are almost good score, but maybe it worth a quick review.
Okay, thanks, Joe. So that seems to be all the questions we have at the moment. So thank you everyone for joining, and thank you, Joe, for your very interesting presentation. I hope to see you again soon, and until then, thank you and goodbye.